Okay. It's Biden's op-ed. Biden got to write an op-ed, or somebody wrote an op-ed for Biden.
Jean-Pierre edited the op-ed written by us.
Not even edited, because the first version, if it was him, was in crayon, so there was no editing. It's here's what your speech writers wrote for you as an op-ed, Mr. President, and it's going to go into the New York Times, which was reforming the Supreme Court. And it wasn't stacking the Supreme Court. It was what he believes that Congress can do to instill term limits and to the code of ethics or whatever, according to Joe Biden or whatever. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about that, and she said this.
Supreme Court proposal, just an election year gambit.
I will say this. I think if you read the Washington Post op-ed that the president put out yesterday, if you listen to his speech, he was reacting to what SCOTUS has been doing over the past, not just past couple of weeks,
what have they been doing
in the last 2 years, starting from Dobbs and so many other important decisions that have come out of
she can't name two
come out of the Supreme Court. And what we're seeing right now is not normal. And majority of Americans agree with us.
We're not winning.
We're seeing that the Supreme Court is not normal. This is about the right
thing
to
back
do.
To weird.
This is about meeting the moment that we're in.
Weird.
This is about
weird.
reacting to what the SCOTUS did. He said in his op-ed, American democracy is founded on the rule of law.
Yeah.
No one, not the president, not the Supreme Court, are above the law.
There's nothing the Supreme Court did that was below the law, you nerd. There's absolutely nothing. These Supreme Court decisions were dead nails. They were, and by the way, a lot of Supreme Court decisions went your way. It's just now it's the easy thing to vilify. And these, because all they're going to remember is Dobbs' case. That's all they're going to remember. What just happened with this Chevron deference case totally punked these people in their expansion of government and power, and now they're upset about it. Sour grapes are back, and they found a villain, and they want to go ahead and instill term limits. Go ahead. Good luck.
I'm going to zoom out for a second, because this is not about passing this bill. This is about polling that indicates Democrats care about this issue. Why? Because, again, zooming out, Democrats have an informational system, much like Republicans have an information system. Typically, you find your information system, you build a habit around that, and you stick with it. And that's where you get your information from. So on the Democrat side of things, they've been talking about Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court justice who likes to hang out with billionaires and go on boats. The Supreme Court justice whose wife was working inside the Trump team for the Steele. Again, I'm just giving you the Democrat talking points, the media talking points. Whether you agree with them or not, we'll put it aside for just a second. You've got Justice Alito. His wife flew the upside-down flag. No, that was a dispute about the neighbor. Okay, that's what the Republican media said. The Democrat media didn't say any of that. So the Democrats have sold a story about the corrupt Supreme Court for several months. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez introduced a motive or whatever, an impeachment resolution against those two justices, Alito and Thomas. So they've built up this story, and that's what the Democrats want to see. But here's the craziest part about this and why the media fails in their job. Because one could ask Karine Jean-Pierre as to why the current Supreme Court sits 6-3. What are the steps that led up to it? The Democrats getting rid of the filibuster for judges in the Senate. Because prior to Harry Reid, the Democrat, getting rid of that, judges needed 60 votes, which is why the Supreme Court was always kind of moderate. The 5-4 for a long time, it seems. But when Harry Reid kicked that rule out, Republicans got control of the Senate, then got the presidency. Trump gets to nominate 3 justices. So that's the crazy part is the Democrats set this whole thing up and it came back to bite him in the ass.
I don't understand how that is biting him in the ass. How is it biting Trump in the ass?
It's not biting Trump. It's biting the Democrats.
Oh, biting Democrats. I thought you said. I apologize. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What is?
It has nothing to do with Trump. This literally
is it's because of Trump, because they say it's illegitimate because he got 3 shots at it.
Bingo.
And he did get 3 shots at it.
But this is. I'll zoom out just for one more second. And what Greg is saying, because he's looking at things, is that Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, is Kamala's pick. So, good job, Greg.
If that's the case, that's a state you got to win. So it makes sense.
It does. Yeah, that's actually Pennsylvania is going to be an incredibly important state, because that's one of the 6 or 7 that matter. So zooming out, This is just really, Mike, to move the needle on the conversation, to have us react to it, the Biden Supreme Court reform, because this is all the Democrats' fault.
Well, I just think it's funny as hell. I just think it's sour grapes. It's sour grapes because the system didn't work for them and they couldn't rig this one, so they were just all about it. And I wonder how, and if Shapiro is the person, if Shapiro's the one, we'll get to the election last night in a moment. But if that truly is the case, I wonder how many signatures did he sign? Any of the changes, and was any of the changes in voting were those executive decisions under his all power under COVID stance, whatever we called that? I forgot the hell we called that, but giving the governors all the power they want because of the COVID. Did he put any of those? He's later decided as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Did he make any of those changes?
I don't believe he did.
Vulnerable.
But he was 2022. He was elected. He's only been in office for 2 years.
Good.
So I don't know what he was before that. Maybe he was the attorney general. Trump is running ahead in Pennsylvania as of now. So he needs to really focus on that state and sell the vision of what Kamala would do to Pennsylvania if she's elected with Shapiro's help.
And by the way, and Greg brings up the astronaut. Look, Mark Kelly was not going to be the VP. Not if it is still. And by the way, nothing's set in stone yet. But if he does rise to the top, and that's who they pick because they want to make sure Arizona goes solid blue, then I would be shocked because as strong as her stance as you heard from last night, her song is against the Second Amendment. His stance against the Second Amendment is even greater. So for the two of them to be an anti-gun ticket, they're stupid. They're not that stupid. I don't think they'd go for that. That's over the top. That's again, that'd be like Rob, we talk about all the time. Rob said that this is the long play. Like the Republicans had long play, conservatives had long play when it came to abortion not being a federal issue, being a state's issue. And ultimately, in my opinion, the right, it's a state's issue until Congress does something. But guns for the Democrats is the long game. But it's a lot like you're sitting and waiting for a deer to take food out of your hands. You're just waiting, and that deer gets close, and you lunge forward, and that thing's gone. Mark Kelly, a Harris Kelly anti-firearm ticket would be just that. All that they've done on anti-gun, guns are bad, will be for naught if you put these two bozos up there thinking that it's time to move your hand forward and feed the deer. It's not. They're not ready yet. The nation is not ready to give up any guns yet. At all.
And Mark Kelly doesn't move the needle. He's not going to deliver you Arizona, not in this climate because of inflation. And he's basically been a disappearing senator. So I don't know. We'll see. They have all kinds of strategies, and there's insider conversations, and apparently Biden favors Shapiro, but the Obamas favor Waltz or some other white dude for Kamala. And he's a Minnesota governor, Walz. So, but whatever. I mean, they're going to pick what they're going to pick. And ultimately, the goal is to deliver a state that Democrats think they're vulnerable in. Usually that's how you do things in close elections. And maybe Waltz in Minnesota is a state that they think they need those electoral votes because Trump had been polling pretty well there ahead of the Kamala Harris switch.
Yeah. I don't think it's, I can't see any of the top names being mentioned to move the needle really at all. And look, it's funny because the Republicans pick such a vanilla, pretty safe JD Vance in a running mate. The only thing the Dems can come up with is he's weird. He's weird. Okay, fine. Good. Yeah, that's all you can come up with. Fantastic. Good. That means it was the right choice because again, like Rob says, no one's voting for VP. VP can't help you, but VP can hurt you. So I think that whatever they pick is kind of crazy. Kamala had her big night last night, her big Megan Thee Stallion and her little concert. She got everybody lining up to go see a free concert because that's the only way they're going to get anyone to show up to root and hoot and holler for Kamala Harris is to make it a free concert. And this was, I don't know if it just didn't go well out of the gate. I'm not going to get to the concert, whatever. But I will tell you this. I did talk to Rob about this for the show. There were two elderly white women in the front row while Megan Thee Stallion was twerking, talking about her fat lady parts. And their faces were just comical. It was just this shock and fear that they had on their face. Like, why am I sitting right here looking at what I'm looking at and hearing what I'm looking at? Is fantastic. But here's how it went. A little awkward.
So honored.
A little awkward
to
at
be
the gate.
Introducing the next President of the United States of America, Vice President
Yep.
Kamala Harris.
Got it. Yep.
Just a second. Just a second.
He doesn't even want to do this. She doesn't even want to do this. Like, she just doesn't want to do any of the work to become the president of the United States. It's said even by her former staffers. By the way, her turnover rate in her office, 92%. Her staffers even said she just doesn't want to do the work. She just wants the title. She doesn't want to do the work. She wants the fame. And so here she is. Here's your big night. Oh, shit. I'm not ready yet. I'm not done signing autographs just yet. Yeah. It didn't go so well out of the gates. But then she went, of course, to her Hillary play.
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Here we go, Jackson.
Yeah. He was talking about rap artists that she didn't know who the hell they were, but they were on the teleprompter. It was a tough night out of the gates for Kamala Harris. Just what it was. Rallies. Meanwhile, there's literally 75,000 people waiting for Trump's rally today. That's no free concert. Just energy. Nothing, Rob.
I got nothing to add on that.
Okay. All right. So then let's get to the key topic then. Let's get to the key topic of last night. I don't care what she said, but when she said she'd take on Trump's border record. Okay, fantastic. Let's go toe to toe on that. But this is where I started to perk up.
Who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks.
No, you won't.
Red flag laws.
No, you won't.
And an assault weapons ban.
No. Okay, those that want to protect ourselves and live free don't want any of those things. Those who want to protect ourselves and live free want neither of the, actually any of the three. We don't want any of them. We're just going to get our guns. Don't come get our guns.
I'm going to pull this up. This seems like a perfect time to bring this up, Mike, because there's my comment about all of this. The Kamala rally, the Trump rally, the government coming for assault weapons, judges. Look at the unfavorable side there. Look at the unfavorable side and look at the favorable side.
Yeah.
The person with the highest favorability on that list is Donald Trump.
Correct. We know that.
So think about that. But think about what this means to what you just said. We the people. We the people don't like any of this stuff. We think Mitch McConnell, 20% of us like Mitch McConnell. 30% like Chuck Schumer. Less than that like Hakeem Jeffries. Less than that like the Speaker of the House, Republican Mike Johnson. Less than that. This is what is so obvious to me on both sides is both sides are not trying to govern both sides. Both sides are trying to only govern and talk to their side. You already have your side. So if you're telling me, if you're Kamala Harris, you have no interest in listening to what my beliefs are, or if you're Donald Trump and you're not saying you have any interest in certain people's beliefs, then that's why that unfavorability rating is so high to me, because it's as if this country, our political parties have adopted this posture that whatever they believe should be the law tomorrow, regardless of what anyone else in America believes. When the crazy part about the party system is ultimately you might have 60% of the country combined that agrees with the party platforms. You might. So that's 30-30. There's, again, going back to that middle part that isn't represented, isn't even talked about anymore.
But here's the middle part. How do you speak to them? That's the middle part. How do you wake them up when they're just got their face in their phones and the world's burning around them, but they're like, oh my gosh, did you see what Megan Thee Stallion said last night? What? And that was the only pop culture reference I could think of at the moment, but yeah. That's it.
Yeah, and I think you're right in that, it seems to come back to these all the time because of the way our brains interact with them, because of the way we keep pressing things. And the more we press it, the more we see it, the more we see it, the more we believe it, the more we see it, the more that's, that belief gets solidified. But who's in charge of that conversation? Because I'm in this on Twitter, Mike. I've got like this Trump loop. It's a pro-Trump loop all the time, including that Laura Loomer, who posts some things that are out there.
Don't get me started on Laura Loomer. That's the stuff we talk about in private, Rob. Don't throw my stuff on blast like that. It's the stuff we do in show prep, dude. I want you come on, man.
Look, And all I'm saying is I see it and I see it and I see it. And I have to like pull myself out of it because it's a very one-sided thing. So then I have to balance myself out and try to figure out, okay, is this real? Because what she says often isn't real. But if you see it enough, you're going to think it's real. So I think that that's part of it, Mike, is that looking down while the world's on fire, like, cool, but I have a cool thing on Instagram that I can look at, is exactly the main issue. It's all these distractions. It's keeping us occupied so that we don't think and often don't even see what's happening around us to this country.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but I will say that things have changed, because when I said that, okay, there's already, X amount is going to vote for Trump, X amount is going to vote for Harris, just is what it is. And then, like I said, my father was a Republican, but he's voted Democrat ever since he died. So there's going to be that. What this might be they're not stupid. They understand polls. They understand campaigns. They've done this before. This is their job. And so when I say that, I look at these rallies and you said Trump's talking to his side, Harris is talking to her side. They're basically mobilizing vote. They're mobilizing enthusiasm for that vote. They're not looking for that middle. They're not, in my opinion, they're not doing enough go after that middle. But they're making sure that their side does not stay at home, does not sit on their hands, and gets out and votes. So I see the thought process behind these kind of rallies. Like, we're going to take guns out of evil Republicans' hands. They want to shoot kids in schools, every single one of them. They hate Mexicans. We need to get more, whatever. I understand that. They want their people to make sure if I don't get out and vote, those evil Republicans are going to do something shady, right? If they don't get involved, those Democrats are going to go ahead and take over this country. It's going to be like Venezuela.
Well,
it might be closer to Venezuela than we think.
Well, and what do they? It doesn't take long. I was looking at something Maduro did. It was in Hugo Chavez even before him. It was a relatively rapid change.
Yeah.
In way less than a year, that all of a sudden the economy was completely different. There was inflation. There was scarcity. Nobody could buy anything. It's absolutely bonkers what happens.
They're actually opening up warehouses down there. If you didn't catch it, basically most of Venezuela is thinking, we just had an election stolen from us, because they called it after like counting 10% of the vote. Like, he won. Good. There you go. And the opposition is saying, no, we won 68 to 70% of the vote. We won. And now the people are revolting. They're opening up, they're breaking into storage facilities, which is fantastic, because Maduro's guys are all out there arresting poll workers right now. So they're not watching these giant warehouses that are full of, diapers, food, and medicine. Fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I don't think, but remember, you can vote your way into socialism. You're going to have to shoot your way out.
Yeah. And prosperity is what goes away under heavy government occupied territories of the economy. And obviously that's what we're trying to avoid here, which is what's the strangest part to me is that's not what the conversation is. The conversation is not what we're spending money on or what we're wasting money on and how the economy's working and how the economy's not working. That, to me, is the entire basis of prosperity is the economy. As in, and here's a crazy stat for you, because, we still deal in stats and facts here on Russell and Hunter, while just about anyone else in the media does not. But here's a stat for you. Over the course of the last, 100 years or so, tax revenue, regardless of tax rates, has been about 18% of GDP. So it doesn't matter if the top tax rate is 70%, 28%, 40%. What the tax code always ends up doing is about 18% of GDP. So the key to everything, including the liberals' wet dream of having a bigger government, is having a bigger economy. An economy that produces more, that's more prosperous, because the more prosperous an economy is, it uplifts everybody. So even now, we have incredibly poor people that live on the streets. But if we go a level above that, in America, that level, as horrible as it might be for us, compared to the rest of the world, is middle class. Like that is the difference between America and everybody else. So the key to everybody's dream is literally the economy, is literally a repeating of the 2017 tax cut, maybe even adding some things to it so you can grow the economy at an appropriate speed.
That's why that Laffer guy won a Pulitzer and all that. Not a Pulitzer, I apologize.
Whatever, smart people.
Yeah, that
Nobel.
Yeah.
Nobel.
Nobel, thank you. Good Lord of mercy.
Economics. Nobel Prize in economics.
Yes. So Laffer curve, for those that to know is that there's a certain amount of taxing you can do to people before they just leave the system. And it's a curve that goes like this. So you find that top, that's the max you can, and when we've been there before, and that's why it went down. And like Rob said, we have 70% on the top. It's still going to be 18% of GDP because that 70% of the top starts taking their money elsewhere and moving it into certain loopholes that you need to have, because again, if you tax every one of our nation's billionaires 100%, it funds the government for 10 to 17 days. That's it. Yep. You take all of their money, all of it, not what they made this year, all of their money. You get 10 to 17 days. And then look at this. What I was thinking about today, this morning, was the spending. Because, we get our Schweiker texts all the time about in the last 364 days, we've spent this many trillions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And I'm not mocking it. It's funny because I know I care. I know Rob cares. I know most of y'all care. Most of the people getting these texts don't care. And they don't know what to do about it. We think $35 trillion, and we're like, what the hell is it? Can't we get our head around it? But they're like, oh, but Trump spent a lot. Oh, but Biden spent a lot. You know what we don't think about? Especially when Biden's talking about, I haven't spent as much as Trump. It's just a lie. The spending on these 10 to 15 million migrants that are these illegal migrants that are here in our nation right now. I don't know if it wasn't Massachusetts, but I forget I don't know which state it was. But they were claiming that they were basically going bankrupt as a state because of the 150,000 migrants or whatever that they now have to house, they have to feed, they have to medicate, they have to educate, they have to do all of this. The cost of that, the spending of opening the borders for 3.5 years, just that spend alone probably rivals what Trump or Obama spent. And that was a lot.
Well, and you got to think about the next 10 years too. Correct. As a lot of these cases go through court. So it takes a resource and saps it for a decade and probably needs an increase because of it. So you have to find that money somewhere. And, these are the things that logical people would talk about. So when you run your household, you have a certain amount of resources. Do I have a going out to eat budget? What is that going out to eat budget? Should I increase it? Should I lower it? I have an energy budget. And your energy budget changes every year because the prices keep going up. So that's how it works, right? You have to make do with what you have, and you try to squirrel some away because you can't rely on Social Security if you're Robin Mike's age, right? So the government doesn't care. And all of this is, again, I'm going to just zoom out for a second and get out of the parties and get out of the candidates and just say this. In my 25 years, I boil politics down to this. Two parties trying to control where they spend your money or borrow your money against your kids' future.
Or expand themselves and take freedoms away from you.
Bingo. So they can reward their donors. Both parties do this. Reward their donors because the donors then reward the politicians. The politicians then use that money for re-election. Plus, we love royalty in this country. We rebelled against England, but we created and voted our own royalty in place, in which we keep in place. So in so many ways, human behavior is mirrored all the time and repeats all the time. And we are in a repetitive cycle, I think, Mike, where 250 years in, many people who have been told that America sucks for the last 20 or 25 years are now getting older. They're all involved in technology and the speed of communication and the speed in which language changes. Because let's face it, us older folks, 35 and maybe 40 and above, speak a completely different language than people under 30. And it's hard to get along when you don't even speak the same language. Yes, we're all speaking English, but we have fundamentally different views of what the country is and how it works.
That.
Yeah.
See, I was waiting for that one. I'm coming along.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell my goodness, my kids, I don't even know what they're saying. But going to Rob's point about it's about donating, just getting your donors, making your donors wealthy is exactly what it is. I want to show you this because this is an interesting little tidbit here. Yeah. It's processing now because that's how tech works. And us old people are like, wait, hold on. I pushed the button. Yeah. Biden's $42.5 billion rural high-speed internet plan gets stuck in red tape. Not a single home connected. 3 years after its enactment. $42.5 billion has been spent. 42.5. Now, I will bring this back around so Rob understands why I'm doing this, and we are a team here. So I'll bring this back around to one of Rob's other points. If we say that we are going after Kamala, it can't be because of her cackle. It can't be because she hired kids to act like they like her and she likes them, and talk about going to the moon. You're going to see it with your own eyes. Think about that $42 billion spend on high-speed internet. And here's when it was actually announced by the White House. This is from the White House scripts. This is exactly what it's from. I'm sorry, transcripts. It said, in the process, I will create thousands and thousands of good paying jobs.
Way too much energy if you're reading Biden.
What's that?
Yeah, way too much energy if you're reading Joe Biden.
Okay, I'll get my glasses on and we'll read it. It creates jobs connecting every American with high-speed internet, including 35% of the rural Americans that still don't have it. That's not true. This is going to help our kids and businesses succeed in the 21st century, and I'm asking the vice president to lead this effort if she would. The vice president responds, of course. The president, because I know she will get it done. If you're going to focus on anything, taking on Kamala Harris, you need to focus on that crap, that she was handed things and she did absolutely jack and squat. And by the way, I think this $42.5 billion program is actually a government success, because they've only wasted $42.5 billion. That's it. The government is a complete success. Good job, guys. You didn't go $1 trillion. You didn't go $150 billion. It is in this, the high-speed train in California is another great example. I think they laid 1,600 yards of something for $1 trillion.
And I mean, that's the case. That's the case. You make the case. And I would even, if I were advising Trump's campaign team, I would even lean into Kamala's story. I would lean into the fact that she is the first female vice president of color. And I say that's an absolutely awesome accomplishment. However, let's look at the jobs that she was put in charge of, because the president's job is to execute. You're in charge of the executive branch, just by nature of the word. You execute the federal government. And let's look at her record of execution. Bang, there's one. Bang, she's got the border, right? Probably 10 other things that you can find. So if you want execution like this, vote for the story. If you want execution like this, tax cuts, taking Soleimani out, whatever decisions, execution, Donald Trump.
Soleimani.
Yes.
It's a good question. So where is the effing money? I appreciate that, Lynn. So where is it? That's what you lean into. No, that's what you lean into. Here's where that money went. I remember when Mark Zuckerberg years and years ago gave $100 million to a school district in New York, in Manhattan, it was in New York City. And not a dime got to a classroom. And I believe it was something like 50 million of it went to consulting, went to consultants on how to spend the $100 million. So if you expose what happened with this program, because Elon Musk got the first bump into basically taking Starlink, and let's start there, and we're going to do Starlink in all these communities. They pulled it. Biden's pulled it. Gone. They pulled it away from Elon because Elon bought their favorite toy, and now he's the Democrat public enemy number one. So, by the way, Maduro in Venezuela has he's challenged Elon Musk to a fight because Elon's exposing all of his crap, and he just can't handle it. Mm-hmm.
Elon has accepted said offer.
He has accepted, yeah.
Do
a Zuckerberg in a cage match. Let's do it.
Well, and isn't this comes back to this main point about information and really how I believe we're all manipulated in so many different ways because of the information flow. Because this is a perfect time to bring up Google. Google is obviously doing something to search results, because Google has an auto search feature. We're probably all pretty familiar with that. You go on Google, you type something, and it gives you options as to what you're looking for. But if you do that, and again, you guys know me, I don't feel like I have a dog in this election fight. I'm just going to call balls and strikes as best I can. I obviously have biases, but I am of the favor of a way smaller government that we're going to get under either party. So I'm just going to go back to those roots, but I'll call balls and strikes. Obviously, Google has a monopoly on online information, because I believe, Mike, the stat is 90% of all internet searches run through Google. 90%.
Even DuckDuckGo, by the way, goes through Google. Sorry, guys, it does. It does.
You got to get, I think Brave is a browser that you can use that has an unfiltered search engine. The problem is Google's search engine is so much better than everybody else's. It's faster. It gets you different results, but those results you're seeing are curated. In this goes back to the whole AI thing, when it's all about the people in control of the AI that are building the AI, that are building biases into it. That's no doubt what's happening with Google, that there's engineers building anti-conservative, anti-Trump things into it. It's the only explanation that is logical and makes sense. So that is an obvious Catholic Church scenario from the 1400s when the priest could read, people couldn't read. You got to go to the priest to get your information. That's what Google is becoming right now.
And so that's why I respect Elon. Elon didn't like what was going on in social media. It was one-sided. That was a bunch of crap. Saul was gone at Twitter and said, okay, I'm going to buy it. And he bought it. So now Elon again floating a couple of ideas. I want an X search engine. He puts out on his own Twitter, give me a yes or a no, just up or down, yes or no, no comments, just give me a yes or a no. Would you use Xmail over Gmail? Overwhelmingly yes, of course.
I would I want to start over.
Oh yeah, just hit the reset button. Just fine. Just we'll do Xmail and Xdocs and all this, and whatever what is the platform we use all the dang time? Drive. I'll use X Drive.
Yeah.
All day. I'd go over in a minute. And because I think we the people, even conservatives, are just tired of this crap. This is really tired of this garbage.
And I think that's what I'm getting at, Mike. I think you just nailed it. You said it better than I did. There is a unity in people that, number one, this isn't working. It's not fair to anyone, because let's pull this bad boy up. You want to get your socks knocked off. $4.4 trillion was sent to the federal government via taxes in 2023. That number of 13,000 for every American is nuts.
Yeah.
You feel like you get a good ROI on your 13,000, Mike, of which you pay more, because we know that half of Americans don't pay any income taxes.
Yeah. So the 13, that's a little over $1,000 a month. It's about $1,100 a month. How you feeling on that? What could you guys do with $1,100 a month?
Go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, maybe get some KFC. Who the hell knows? And it's an important thing. Is an important thing to look at. But also you look at the 13,000. How much of your $1,100 a month? How much of that went to feed someone that isn't in your family? How much of that went to house someone that isn't in your family? That's actually new to America. How much of that it just keeps going and going and going? And by the way, Brendan, there is no beyond page. You fall off the end of the earth. I think the matrix glitches at that point and your avatar is deleted. I don't know of anyone who's gone to page 3 on a Google search. Have you ever gone, Rob? I've never gone to a page 3.
I have.
Have you? How desperate do you have to be really to go to a page 3?
No, it's just how I do information. I just
Google
go like this. Broaden, cast out a wide net and just see what happens.
Page 3. There's no such thing. You fall off the edge of the internet if you do that crap. Come on.
Which is fun. Get into the dark web. You can buy all kinds of illicit things. I have no idea how to access the dark web. No idea.
I don't either. How do people figure this stuff out? What do you do? Do you do a Google on the regular web and say, how do I access the dark web? I bet you could. I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, I was curious, and there is how-to instructions to access the dark web and what you can find on there. Yeah, it's very...
dark web. All right, let's go. Oh, 5 best VPNs for the dark web. How about that?
See?
How to access the dark web safely. A 2024 beginner's guide. See, I don't even have to go to page 3, but let's go to page 3 just to see what happens here. See what we got. What is the dark web? How to use it, and how to access. Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. All right, I know what I'm doing this afternoon. So if I'm not here tomorrow, the feds finally did have enough, and away we went. Yeah.
Well, and this is actually very interesting too, because there seems to be a movement out there and opportunities to really not have a country, to really access anything you want from anywhere. Andrew Tate, big name on the internet, he made a bunch of money in porn, and now he's some male celebrity because he, is very, as what they would say, alpha male, Mike.
I didn't know he had to get. I didn't know he came from the naughty biz.
Oh yeah, and that's why
no
he's
idea.
being charged with that in Romania. He lives in Romania, but he essentially he has a message that he sends to young men that you don't have to be part of this system. That there are ways to get rich outside the system. Bitcoin, this whole dark web, digital currency, digital world, where there are millions of people that are living. Now, of course, all of this benefits Andrew Tate at the end of the day, but that's besides the point. Because
teaching people.
Yeah, he's got a whole monthly program that you can join. Yeah, he does all.
I don't know much about
it. Yeah, he does all the things. He's done it very successfully.
Okay,
but that is, I think it's a real threat to the world order in so many ways that there are opportunities for a teenager to move to Romania and become a millionaire doing whatever in Romania.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be American or French or Romanian anymore.
And taking on the U.S. system.
Yeah, exactly.
Because remember, the only people we've assassinated in our history are people that bucked the U.S. system, that actually took on the system.
Right? Yeah.
What?
That's Andrew.
Yeah, Dr. Love, of course, has been a douche. I don't know much about him, but I do understand that those that are pissing the system off are the ones that are threatened, the ones that have to move to Romania, the ones that have to be extradited, as we've seen in the Snowden and the Julian Assange case. Once you buck the system, you're targeted. And like, again, the only people in our history that we've assassinated, that we've killed, are the ones that have bucked the system. Well, by the way, going back to Maduro, that was a brilliant move. Maduro just went on some giant rant about how the CIA and the mob killed JFK. He went off about how they've killed this, they've killed this. All of these protests right now are run by the CIA. It was not true, at least the CIA running, but at the same time, you think, maybe, maybe, but Maduro definitely isn't bucking any kind of system, so he's not in that category. But Trump already been shot on his life. Why? Because he freaking is here to buck the system. Period.
Well, and think about again. Let's. I'm going to do a zoom out. What you said about Maduro, right? All he's trying to do is introduce a shred of doubt.
Yeah.
And that's all he needed to do, because the CIA has created all kinds of chaos around the world in your name. They think you benefit from it. It's in America's best interest. It never really has been, but it is in the America's best interest of defense contractors and people that make all kinds of things like that, right? So in a way, in a weird, twisted mind, you could make that case if you're CIA. But we have doubt in the CIA now. When I was a kid, we didn't have doubt in the CIA. We didn't have doubt in the FBI. We have doubt in the Supreme Court now, to go back to the very beginning of this conversation. Every part of government now is shrouded in doubt. And that creates a very unstable political environment, because the media is in their real problem. Again, I remember I went to an organization called PEN America that's really worried about information disinformation. But they're operating under this idea that the government tells the truth. So they still have faith in this system, which we, the people, really don't, because the results suck. And we, the people, have doubt in every single federal department now as to how it's being used. Even Department of Homeland Security, right? How many terrorists do they catch? That's the whole reason they invaded our privacy. The only terrorists they catch are the ones they help make.
Yes, or the ones that they've now labeled terrorists, like, I don't know, anyone that voted for Trump.
Which, again, goes back to the Patriot Act. No, it's not going to be used on American citizens. No, not now.
No.
20 years from now, we're definitely going to use these tools and powers on American citizens.
But I want to go back to guns before we wrap up. But before then, I do want to chat about this. And Rob, I apologize. I saw your note on the rundown. I did see that video of that girl. So we should talk about banking tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow. Tease for you. A 12-year-old girl in Canada explains why Canada's government stinks.
It's fantastic. So we'll break that down. But I want to get into this Carrie Lake and the Sheriff Lamb deal. I'm concerned about that. And we mentioned Laura Loomer a little earlier, and Laura Loomer was posting pictures yesterday of her and Carrie Lake. Let's go Arizona. Let's go, do this and blah, blah, blah. And our buddy Cooper was posting stuff about, I know Carrie Lake personally. And bro, you've been living in California too long. You do not know who Carrie Lake is. The Carrie Lake you knew is not the Carrie Lake running. But it's concerning to me that those outside influences that think that okay, she's Trump back, so she's got to be better than probably one of the most upstanding citizens Arizona has ever had. Aside of my grandfather, he was a saint. But the probably the best idea, the best candidate there was for Senate in Arizona. Like, we finally put our best up top. We finally said, here you go. This is somebody we have had has been a complete gem for Pinal County and has done great for the state and great for border security, great for immigration, everything. We're going to put him up, and it got beat by someone who can't stop talking about it was stolen. And now Ruben Gallego, who is just a money-making force right now because the DNC is putting all their money behind him. He's not doing. He's a bozo. But he's not making any money. The DNC is just flooding money into his campaign. It's going to mop the floor with Kari Lake. We made ourselves vulnerable because of this nonsense. That's my 2 cents of the whole thing. Sorry, Kari. I don't even know what to do now. I don't know what to find something that she. The only thing we can do, the only thing we can talk about Kari Lake is she's not Ruben Gallego. Ruben Gallego is a pile of excrement. He is terrible for this country. Terrible for this country. That's all I can run for Kari Lake right now. That's the only thing I got for her. Vote Kari Lake because Ruben Gallego sucks. Sorry.
Yeah, I
sorry, dude. That was a bit of a rant. Yeah.
I always, again, I have one vote. You have one vote. What's going to be is going to be. But, so I just wonder when winning matters. Because, again, there are very clear signs that Trump may win. But it's going to be harder for Trump's candidates to win. Because they're not Trump. There's only one Trump. And again, you know how I feel about this guy if you've been on this program a long time. Again, balls and strikes. He may not need to shift in order to win because of his opponent. And we'll see if she rises to the occasion or not. She has a history of not rising to the occasion. Could be problems in Chicago at the DNC. She could bomb her speech. She could bomb the debate. But Kari Lake, because she's trying to be Trump but isn't Trump, and really is 1 out of 100, people look at it completely different. And they say, all right, Trump versus Kamala, I'm going to go with Trump because I think Trump's a better executor, perhaps. But the Senate's a different story. You're like, ugh, Kari Lake. Because now you're like 6 years versus 4. Trump's gone in 4 years regardless. If he wins, you hate him. 4 years, you move on. But Kari's just not appealing to the middle. Remember when she kicked McCain voters out when she ran for governor?
Yeah. Had Bannon at her thing.
Yeah, and that was out. This is now Laura Loomer. Like, no. Now's the time you move to the center and you get away from people that tried to tweet out that Biden was basically on death's door a couple weeks ago and was in hospice. That's what Laura Loomer tweeted out a week and a half ago. You move away from those people.
Okay, but that's okay. So that's the thing. So I think actually, the optimist in me says that we learned from our mistakes in 2022. I don't see a lot of, unless it was Abe or whatever the hell it was, and these bozos that come out and say Trump endorsed. I don't even think that's a thing anymore. I don't even think that's a thing anymore. I don't think that's at least as prevalent as was in 2020 because people said, "Oh, okay. How about I just run a campaign and I run this right? I don't need a endorsement of somebody the entire media apparatus is trying to destroy. Probably not a good idea to put on my on my campaign signs if I want people that don't absorb news 24/7 like Russell and Hunter. So I'll go ahead and not say that. I think that's the majority of the problem. Is Kari has embedded herself too far in with Trump, and I mean way too far. The minute that she showed up at those God, I don't even remember it was after his mugshot. Remember after his mugshot and he flew to Mar-a-Lago or whatever, and they had all those people standing around waiting, and she was standing next to the My Pillow guy. I'm like, oh my Lord, she doesn't get it. And Rob's right. Trump is Trump. Period. That's why Rob and I don't sound like any other people in the news media or in talk radio, because we understand that those people are those people and they can be those people. I don't say to set your GVR every day he does him. I do me, Rob does Rob, and that's it. And that's how you win. And that's how we won for this many years. And that's how any Republican is going to win. And going to, I think Greg asked the question, I don't think she can beat Gallego. I don't. I have no confidence in that. Zero.
Well, then all Gallego has to do is build up his story. Marine. People love that. It's Arizona. We lean towards veterans often. That's one of the reasons why Mark Kelly he has a better story. He's not a great delivery. He's not a great communicator. He's not a great senator. You don't even know what he's doing. Not much is what it seems like. But he wins because this is the thing. Trump's big flaw, like many leaders, he talks too much. He just can't. And then you have the Trump acolytes that try to do the same thing while the Democrats just shut up. And because Kari Lake fills the airways with nonsense in the past, all Ruben Gallego has to do is not say anything. So you don't even know what he stands for, but it doesn't matter because you're voting against Kari Lake because you won't shut up. And ultimately, I think that is going back to the Kamala bet that we did the other day. That, I think, is Trump's big challenge is. Number one, he's not getting the attention he normally gets. So he doesn't like that. And this is a weird position for him. And he tends to resort to attacks only in this scenario. And, every book on power and leadership suggests that leaders who talk too much always get in trouble.
Or Kari can just go and I think her best play right now is because she's really, I think, tainted her entire image, which she had a wonderful image when she was a news anchor for 25 years here in Arizona. It should have been a cakewalk, but she went off the absolute rails. But if she goes back to it, it kind of goes to Brennan's point that he's been calm silent since the election, since he won. We knew this from the word go. He was going to be a Schumer rubber stamp. We knew he had nothing to bring to the table. He was just going to vote the way he was supposed to vote, and he's going to make bazillions of dollars using his wife who got shot in the head as a prop. That's who he is. He's scum. I can't handle the dude. He just, the whole thing when I'm going to prop my wife out here and don't give me this. You're bought and sold punk like the rest of them. Gallego's the same thing. If Kari can say that and articulate that correctly, we can't have another rubber stamp for Chuck Schumer. We need to be an independent state. Republican, Democrat, fine. He's going to be around. I'm going to be there. We can represent Arizona as it is, which is a purple state right now. We can represent them instead of sending another DNC stamp for Arizona. Arizona just has 2 Democrat stamps. That's it. I mean, that's something she's got to tap into.
Well, and she's going to have to, I think, do more than that because that's a message we've heard ad nauseum for a long time. Schumer rubber stamp, Schumer rubber stamp. So I don't know that line in it of itself is effective. So you have to get creative in how you attack a guy with a Marine background, because the state is changing. So, okay, what is the middle?
Weird.
But what does the middle care about? What are the issues the middle care about? Because again, if you're Kari Lake and you lost by 17,000 votes, I can identify who didn't vote for Kari Lake because they don't like Kari Lake. That number's only gotten bigger because the people that I talk to have become more. But you have to win those people. So what do they care about? Money, economy, living a better life, you not being crazy. That's what they care about. And if you're not willing to try to win them, it just becomes so much harder to win again, because Ruben Gallego is just the option because he's going to stay silent. So for the 17,000 people that didn't vote for Kari Lake, they're like, well, she's not Ruben Gallego. I don't know anything about him, but he's not Kari Lake. So I'm voting for him. Like that's really what this election is.
I mean, okay, so Brennan brings up, he said, I think that Gallego would be an easy target on his record and personality alone. Mark Kelly has the personality of a waffle. He's a dud, complete dud. And so and he won. So I really have a hard time. And I think he ran against the first female combat pilot in the nation's history. So I don't think you can run on just one piece of your resume. But just being a Marine is not going to get him elected. Obviously, again, first female combat pilot in our nation's history. That it's not going to get you there. If you're a dud, you're a dud. And this is actually going to, I think, Gallego can't. Gallego's just going to be. We are going to be inundated with Gallego ads, courtesy of the DNC. Not anybody who's excited about Ruben Gallego being a senator. Period.
Well, but I mean that doesn't matter. I mean, because winning matters. And usually, like in life, when you lose, you learn.
Wait, what part doesn't matter? That we're going to be flooded by DNC ads?
No. What I mean is it doesn't matter that nobody's excited about Gallego. The Democrats don't really care about that. All they care about is the stamp vote, right? So they don't care who Ruben Gallego is.
Sure.
They just care about what's the story that we can tell that will get him elected, because he'll do whatever we say, just like Mark Kelly.
Mhm.
So the enthusiasm is irrelevant. I'll use Schweikert's district, the one I live in, last time, 2 years ago. There's a guy named Gavin Hodge. He's like a 32-year-old dude who lived in an apartment in Tempe. Schweiker only won by 1% of the vote. This guy has no history.
Yeah.
He has no record. He was like a teenager, basically. Yet he almost won simply because the Democrats have a machine that you're up against. And that machine is what allows them to win. A perfect example. I've been helping Schweikert put up some signs. By the way, he still goes out. I give him credit. He goes out and puts up a ton of signs himself. Like, you have a congressman that actually goes out in middle of the day, 112 degrees out, putting up his own signs. That's pretty
Dude
solid.
funded his first campaign. The guy's that do it himself. Right? And if we've known anything, anytime Rob and I have ever talked to Dave, what are you doing this weekend? Well, I got this project at home that I'm doing this and doing this. Instead of, I got money, I'm going to go ahead and pay somebody to do it. Oh, hell no. That guy's built most of that house with his two hands. He's a do-it-yourself. He's a DIY guy. That's why we love him.
But he's out here putting in the hours. I put up over 100 signs for him. He's had other volunteers do the same thing. But his now opponent, it looks like, Dr. Ahmed Shah, former Republican, by the way, he had a massive amount of signs pop up overnight all across this district because they have more than me and David and a couple other people. They've got a whole staff that they've raised a bunch of money because they want the district. So they'll spend millions trying to win the seat for the vote. Doesn't matter who the candidate is. As long as it has a Democrat, they feel, at least in this district, in this state right now, the Democrats feel that they can win most statewide elections.
And I think that you look at and talk about the pay. I mean, it's all an illusion. If you see constant branding and constant commercials and then out of nowhere signs, this is paid for. And I think it's a pretty solid deal and ideal to idea. That's what I'm going to say, to expose it. You look at Kamala Harris and her $150 a post. I don't know if you saw that advertisement. But she is paying $150 per post to influencers to post positive things. And they're right off the script, straight up off the script. And those with, I forget, it was over 1 million followers or something like that, were invited to last night's event so they could give some backstage thing, and they're paid per post. So it is, it's not enthusiasm, it's dough. And to see through this is our job. Our job as voters is to see straight through this. I'm still shocked to this day how people couldn't see that we were watching a presidential election be done from a basement with a teleprompter and half the country fell for it. Still blown away by that. But here we are. It's time to open our eyes.
It is. But at the same time, our side, or whatever we want to call it, have to learn and adjust. I mean, there's been very clear messages sent in 2018, 2020, and 2022. Things that you're supposed to learn from and say, okay, we need more people to vote for us, because it's not going well. And I just don't see any adjustments out of the Republican Party. And I think that there is a different strategy that's being deployed by Democrats. So I mentioned that I've gone out with Representative Annalise Ortiz. She ran for state Senate last night in her district, not the Gallego seat, but the state version of it.
Did you win?
She won. Yeah, she won overwhelmingly. Got like 86% in her primary. There's no Republican running. So in January, she'll become a senator. She knocked on over 11,000 doors herself to just check in with people in the district that she represents. Her campaign added another, I think it was like 30 or 40,000. She had 8,500 conversations with people. And I went out with her to have some of those conversations. And I know that, Brendan, you've listened to that episode of Equal Matters. Because what I'm trying to get at here is when you have conversations door to door, you find out more about what they care about. And oddly enough, one of the guys that I met with when I was out with her, Senator Ortiz now, he talked about his property taxes. He can't afford them because the property value has gone up so high and his cost of living has gone up so much and his property taxes have gone up so much.
Okay.
That is a Republican issue right there to solve. Oh, cool. Let's lower property taxes. Let's help out people that are most slammed by inflation, people that live in Maryvale and Glendale, lower income parts of the city. But Representative Ortiz does the hard work, earns the vote, and wins the district. and then takes that with her to the legislature.
It's when you say that the Republicans haven't made any changes. I would disagree with that, but I don't think they've made major changes, and I don't think they're going to have to, especially when we pull out and look at federally. They're not going to have to make many changes. It's not going to need to happen, because I believe that a good portion of the Democrat voting base, or even those that lean Democrat, will look at this and go, okay, now their shenanigans are exposed and we're pissed off now and we're freaking tired of it. Like, the reason why Donald Trump got the percentage of Black and Hispanic votes that he did was because he said, why not? You're getting screwed. Give me a chance. Try something new. And guess what? It worked. And so now that I think that might have been the last time, this last election might have been the last time that the non-white voting base in the United States actually sees, okay, yeah, we're right. We have been used. Hell, they thought they can get us to vote for it because they had Megan Thee Stallion perform at one of her concerts. We just went there and saw the concert and took off. I don't give a crap about Kamala. I think the more you see the need for change in the Republican Party, I think the more actually sitting tight's going to do well for him.
Well, which gets back to my point. Trump may win because he's doing that. Kari Lake's not doing that. Kari Lake is living inside of a bubble of conspiracy theory that is yet to be proven, despite her 54 court cases. She's feeding the beast, right? Because there is a good portion. My boy, Stephen Richer, the Maricopa County recorder, he lost to a Trump guy, Maricopa County recorder election. So that may put that seat in play for Democrats, because this is a Democrat city now. So instead of having a Republican who told you exactly what he did, told you exactly what he saw, wasn't responsible for most of the stuff he got blamed for, because that's the Board of Supervisors role, the election day, the printers and all that, had nothing to do with him. Nothing. The guy that got hired that stole the little tabulator or whatever recently, not a Stephen Richer hire, but Justin Heap lied about it, got the Trump vote, but now that seat's at risk.
But that's the same thing happened with Michelle Reagan. I mean, this is just old. Yeah. I mean, this is Democrats yanked that from her because they said that she messed up something she didn't mess up. So, I mean, especially in that position, watch yourself. Secretary of State and recorder, I wouldn't want either of those positions. You are screwed, especially in this environment. There's literally no win. I mean, look at even in Pinal County attorney, same thing. Primaried by a guy that's stolen. Boom, crushed. Guy that did great, had all the matrix just performing. And then, oh, well, okay, no more, because this guy said, stop the steal.
Yeah, well,
there's an appetite for it still. I got to tell you, there literally is.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but there is. But again, great. Emotions don't win. Strategy and tactics win. You have to outthink the person you're up against, because that's what the Democrats did in 2020. They outthought everybody, and they got on it. As soon as COVID hit, they were meeting and figuring out, what can we do? And they came up with a plan, and it worked. They got 81 million people to vote somehow. Okay? So Republicans now have to try to figure out that, which, according to something, the Trump team is doing that. But that doesn't mean the Senate campaigns are. Because, again, Trump's only going to be so effective if he doesn't have a Congress that's Republican. Same thing with Harris. If Harris doesn't win the Senate or the House, it's probably the best case scenario, because everything will grind to a halt and nothing will get done.
No, something has to get done. We always say we're 9 missed meals away from anarchy, and I think we're probably a year or two away from the same if things keep costing this much for us, and things keep going this way for us, and crime, and migrants are getting treated better than our veterans and better than our own citizens, and getting the handouts. If that stuff continues, I don't think anything's going to come to a grinding halt. I think it's going to go freaking bananas.
I actually will go back to us. We will figure it out faster than the government will. Some company will figure out how to get a supply chain in order to get grocery prices to come down. Someone's going to do it. Maybe not, because maybe they're all making extra money. I don't know. But that's the answer. The answer is not waiting for government to fix things. It just can't be. It never will be, because the government takes way too long to fix things. So
didn't take them long to get us into this mess.
Well, no, but that's what government does, right? Instead of, again, what we talked about yesterday, prosperity often comes from our ideas, human ideas. Oh, I'm going to build a skyscraper and put a bunch of office workers in one place so you can be efficient as a company. Great idea. Boom, done. Let's make it happen. Find the best engineers, right? Elon Musk, a perfect example. He knows what the deal is. Eventually, we have to get off this rock. What if we focused on that as the goal, like Elon is? First step, Mars. Let's go see if we can live on Mars, maybe become an interplanetary species. It's probably going to take 300 years, but we got to start somewhere. The fights that we have, because imagine if we had a reasonable compromise on, say, abortion on a national level, and Mike, we were like, you know what? Let's go with 18 weeks. If you're a woman, you have 18 weeks to choose. Seems pretty reasonable. Let's make it happen. What would we fight about then? What would we fight about?
There's no win in a solution. I've said that for years.
Because you think about the economy of which we're participating in right now, social media, X, whatever you want to follow us on. If there's nothing to fight about, that goes away. So there's a huge economy in keeping us fighting about things that we cannot change or will not change. That we'll just keep fighting about and fighting about and fighting about. Again, distracting ourselves from solving problems. Because there's massive amounts of the economy that are invested in this fight.
So if he did, I did not know he did. Did he just do that? Really? That's definitely a shot fired across the bow. Okay, fantastic. All right, there you go.
Yep, and that's what I mean. You talk too much, bruh.
No, actually, I don't think that hurts him.
I do.
I don't think that's what I think. That's the majority of America knows that she is not a black woman. She's being said she's the first black woman to be the vice president, and everybody knows that that's not the case. It's like calling VJ Singh African American.
I do not agree with you on that at all. I agree that the Trump side thinks that. I don't agree that the rest of America thinks that.
The rest of America, meaning all the rest of people that didn't vote for Trump.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that they would look at what Trump's saying like, dude, why are you going?
I think it's part of it's part of a pattern that's going to be exposed more and more of identity politics and DEI and all of that. And by the way, yeah, she is a DEI hire. I'll say that is plain as day. She is a 100% DEI hire. I will go down with that one. And don't tell me DEI is such a good thing until I say that one of your hires is DEI hire. Now you're gonna get all mad at me. There's no way in the world. This woman was picked because of her gender and her skin color. Period. She had no other qualifications. None. Yeah. So I'm telling you, I think it's a pattern that he's exposing. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I don't think it's going to be as black and white, maybe as Robin I think it is, but I think it's good, or it'll just be ignored as another Trumpism. Because again, you can be an ass. I don't care. Just turn this ship around, please.
No, but you got to win though, right? And everything you say has to be geared towards winning. And if you're distracting from your own strategy, again, you're trying to talk to 10,000 people in Arizona that didn't vote for you in 2020. 17,000 of pretty similar people that didn't vote for Kerry Lake. Those are the people you're trying to win. You already have your side. You already have your arguments. You don't need to keep repeating them over and over and over and over again. You have to find a different strategy from now on to stop the momentum that Kamala Harris has.
I don't think she has any momentum. She's saying the same crap. She's saying the same crap. She's literally saying the same crap every Democrat has said. Take away the guns, universal this and that, abortion this and that. Same. There's no momentum there.
I disagree with you on that too, which is fine because we can go round and round and round. It doesn't really matter whether we agree or not. What matters is November. That's what matters. So there's a lot of people who don't pay attention, are not even engaged in the political circle yet, that may be popping their heads up a little bit, that have never followed Kamala Harris very closely. They will typically go to regular media channels to get their information, at least at first. So they're going to get this story about Kamala and the same story about Trump. Trump has to figure out in his team, and some of his ads are actually really effective because they're not doing the Kamala stuff. They're building Trump up as the guy that believes in America, trying to make him sound Reagan-esque. That's the strategy. That is it. That is all you should say. That is all you should talk about. You should just sound like Ronald Reagan did when he ran for re-election in 1984. That's my opinion, because I think that is how you win.
I disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. We've been singing that tune for a while, but I'm telling you that this is all pseudo excitement for somebody that no one's excited about. They're not excited about her. It's like people being in Arizona, like, oh, there's a big rising now at Kerry Lake, big rising for Ruben Gallego and excitement. There's no excitement. He's not exciting. Neither is she.
But I'll
It's
go
just
back
music.
to my point. It's not about being
Or
exciting.
enthusiasm is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Or
that's-
energy and all that shit.
It's not even really. We have already popped that bubble anyway.
Okay, yeah, and all that shit then, yeah.
Again, the strategy to me is only about the people that are here in 7 states. That is the whole strategy that it all is going to come down to. Your tactics on the ground when it's mail-in voting time, when it's ballot harvesting time, when it's voting day time. That's what you do, right? You have that strategy in mind to drive those votes to the polls that day, and because that's all. The red meat, you already got it, both sides. Now, who's got the better vision for America going forward?
But again, the red meat is for, and I think that there's something to be said for it. The red meat is for your side better not sit on the damn hands in November.
Sure, but
That's
you have plenty of time to do that. To lead up to
3 months, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole idea is the enthusiasm is there now. So you still have to do the things you have to do, right, to get the people fired up. I do agree with that. But I think I'm not sure how you break the cycle of the way that the information is structured, right? Especially if Google's hiding things and Facebook's hiding things. It is an incredible challenge to try to break through it. It's going to require critical thinking and good decision making. Is it possible? Absolutely. But Trump has tried to play the same game in 18, 20, and 22. Same game. Hasn't worked. So you have to change something in your pattern or face the same result. Because, Mike, you always say it. Do what you always do. Get what you always got.
Well, sure. Yeah. We'll see. We got to go now because we talk too much. So we do. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about guns. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about Canada. And by the way, hey, Val, hi. And she's not here, but she will say hi. Tell her we said hi, please. And then we are going to talk about the next pandemic that is well on its way, and just got to figure it out.
I have a mask. I got to get a mask. Where's my mask?
Oh, I'll pull that. San Francisco's already moving towards mask mandates. So, yep, I'm telling you, it's coming right before the election. 90 days. 90 days.
Or bird flu?
What's that?
Is it COVID related or bird flu in San Francisco?
San Francisco's COVID and bird.
Okay. COVID? Oh, no, dude, that double. Wear 2 masks. Wear your bird flu mask and your COVID mask.
I'll share the story about my brother sending me a text at 3 a.m. about listeria. Okay, we'll talk about that tomorrow as well, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for playing along. Always like and share it out. Let people know what we're doing right here on Russell and Hunter every day at